So in this video, I'm talking about how you can burn more fat from your weight training. Now, most people don't really associate weight training with fat burning. They tend to associate fat burning with aerobic activity and cardio, which is probably not the best way to think about fat burning because you can burn a tremendous amount of fat only doing weight training. In fact, I don't do any cardio whatsoever, nor do I recommend cardio for my clients and those who I train for bodybuilding competitions. And they're able to get into the exact same shape as those who do a ton of cardio without the wear and tear on the joints and the hours and hours of exercise. So stay tuned and we'll talk a little more about this. So in this video, we're talking about how you can increase the amount of fat that you burn during your weight training sessions in a very simple way. But before I go any further, I'd like to take the time to acknowledge those who have said this should be a one-stop place for anyone interested in training naturally. I really appreciate all the tremendous support we've been having, and do be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you're first in line to get the new content as it comes out. So on to our topic for today, how to increase the amount of fat that your body burns while you're weight training. And the answer is simple. You increase your intensity. Now, don't get me wrong. It is impossible, no matter how hard you train, to out-train a bad diet. If you're not eating correctly, you're getting too much calories and you're eating too much processed food, sugary foods, and alcohol, no matter what you do, you cannot expect that by increasing the intensity of your workouts that you're necessarily going to see that much of a difference. Again, I'm going to say it. You can't out-train a bad diet. If you are eating properly and following a regime of non-processed foods and you increase the intensity of your weight training, something magical is going to happen. Because weight training, while you're actually lifting weights, you don't burn that many calories. But that being said, after weight training, you have the phenomenon of EPOC. Which is a fancy way to talk about the afterburn, meaning that your body has to use a lot more energy to recover from your workout than it does from, let's say, doing cardio. If you're doing cardio, once you stop, your body goes back to normal. If you're weight training, because you're breaking down muscle tissue, your body has to recover. So that requires energy. Now, the fascinating part is if the intensity of the training is at a higher level, the amount of calories your body burns afterwards is also going to increase. And I can demonstrate it from a very simple experiment that I conducted many times over in the beginning of my career, because we all know I'm all about trying to find a way to have as much control experiments as possible when it comes to any ideas about training. Now, as you know, I'm all about high intensity training. It's what I've been doing now for the past 33 years. It's how I train my clients. But very early in my career, because I really wasn't as established as I am right now, people would come to me and what they would want is that they would want to have some input from me in terms of training, but they didn't necessarily want any help with their nutrition. They felt like they had their nutrition under control. And I would agree to train them under the condition that they would at least tell me what they were eating. So if they were completely off track, I could at least make some suggestions. And so I would probably say the first 10, 15 years of my career doing high intensity training, I would always have committed natural bodybuilders who were really on with their diets. And in every single instance, from the point of time when they started training with me to a period going into about, let's say, 3 to 4 months, there was always a significant decrease in their body fat levels to the point where the average person would lose about 5 or 6 pounds from simply increasing their intensity and not making any changes whatsoever with their diet. Now, that's important. Their diet stayed the same. They didn't drop down to lean out, but they would lose about 5 to 6 pounds simply by increasing their intensity. And the only difference was that they went from training a conventional way of usually 4 to 5 times a week for about an hour to training at extremely high intensities for 10 to 15 minutes. Now, if you increase the intensity of your training and you're following a proper diet, you will lose body fat. And you will also, because of the fact that you're training in a way your body's not used to, and you're going to a point where there's a significant degree of overload, you will experience muscle growth at the same time. That increase in muscle growth plus the decrease in body fat from the increased post-exercise oxygen consumption is going to give you a change in your look. And I can tell you that almost every single one of those people who I would train who didn't want any help from me with their diets, then they would almost always convert and say, hey, Kevin, let's work also on the dietary part because I like what I'm seeing and I feel I can do even more. Now, that being said, increasing your intensity is not that simple. Most people, when they work out, they'll do a set. After they do a set, these days, they'll go to their phones, go on social media, check their texts, check their emails. They do a lot of things in between, then go back and do another set. Now, high intensity workouts are not always pretty. In fact, they're very seldom pretty. You're going all out. You're not going to be lifting your maximum weights. And if you are, you're not going to look fantastic. You're not going to look like a superhero working out. You're going to look like you're suffering because to really get to a point where you're going to have enough post-oxygen consumption increase that's going to make significant changes in your body fat, you have to go all out. And I cannot begin to tell you how hard you have to train. You really have to go above and beyond. When you think you're training hard enough, you got to push it even more. But if you do that, you will see a tremendous difference in a very short period of time. But in so doing, make sure you drop your days down. Don't train too often because if you increase intensity, you have to make sure your time training has to go down as well. And you can't train as often. I recommend 3 days and make sure you look up some of the videos I have too about working out 3 days a week. For almost 17 years, I would give anyone coming to me to train with me with my high intensity 10-minute workouts 3 times a week, their money back if they didn't see results in 2 weeks because it's that fast. If you increase your intensity, really ramp it all the way up, you will see a tremendous decrease in body fat and a slight increase in muscle mass in a very short period of time. And the leaner you are, the more you're going to see it. It's something that should really consider having in your arsenal of weight training, that intensity is extremely important. Now, many people have asked if I have any publications out there or books I've written, and I do have an ebook about the role of high intensity training in reducing body fat, which you can download from the links below. And it's available to everybody free of charge. There's no cost to it whatsoever. And I hope you can take that information, learn from it, and add it to your training as well. Natural training isn't so much a matter of some sort of a secret knowledge, nor should anybody who has been privileged to have been able to have gained all the information like I have over the years hold for themselves. To whom much is given, much is expected. And my life mission is always about trying to share as much as I can about high intensity training and help as many people out there as possible realize that they can do a lot more by doing a lot less. So download that ebook, go to the gym, really turn intensity up, know that I believe you can do it, and Excelsior.